Hey, is this thing on? What's up, everybody? How are you doing out there? Did you feel like this year at any point? Did you feel like you were kind of like getting beat down? Man, it's been one hell of a 2018, and I'm excited that I can be coming to you here today to record this a recap on my year with the hope that you will be more connected to my story and my journey. My friend Alex Nemo Hands, the fifth man, he said I don't share my story a lot. So one of my goals this year is to work on my storytelling and to share more of like about the experiences that I've had. I've been blessed to be rich with both really good, positive, and a lot of dark and sad experiences. But for the most part, if you know me, you know I'm a happy guy. You usually won't see me down. Maybe a lot of that is like kind of covered up, right? Maybe I'm sort of wearing a mask sometimes, but for the most part, I think I live a pretty good life, so I'm pretty happy. January of this year, I called my friend Tony and I told him I didn't want to be an entrepreneur anymore. I was bawling my eyes out, snot bubbles, boogers, my face kind of looked like that, and I said, I don't want to do this, man. It's hard, it sucks. And I asked him one question. I said, am I delusional? And then he, in the very Tony G-esque fashion, told me that I was, and that you had to be a little bit delusional to be able to do this, to be able to create your own way, to forge your own path where none exists. And then I went out and got a job. You know, and this is like, as an entrepreneur, the last thing you want to do is go get a job, right? You kind of have this, or if you call it ego or pride, maybe it's more so pride, that that would be stooping down to the lowest of the lowest. Well, this has not been the first time that I've had to go out and get a job and be an entrepreneur at the same time. So I went and started serving tables at Embassy Suites and doing room service. And I did that for about 3 months, and I said, you know what, Vernon? Oh, you've been doing it all wrong. You got to go bigger. You got to invest, right? So got some money, got into a program, invest. It was a great program. But what I was really trying to do was put a Band-Aid over the problem. And the problem was this. I didn't really have the excitement that I had when I started this business 4.5 years ago. And I wasn't at a place where I felt and flowed. As a matter of fact, I was meeting so much resistance, right? From getting in front of the right people to making sales to Facebook ads and trying to figure all this stuff out while I'm working, at this restaurant, a hotel. And I finally just said, you know what? Like, maybe this isn't my fucking path. How about that? Maybe I'm trying to swim upstream in a river. I guess you can't swim upstream in a river. That's kind of... I guess I'm trying to swim upriver instead of floating down the river. So I really got honest with myself, and I said, hey, you've been doing this for like 4.5 years. Do you really want to help people launch your podcast, right? Do you really want to, is that really what you're excited about? Do you get out of bed and say, yeah, man, I'm going to help somebody start a podcast today? And the answer was no. I've had to revisit my past, right? So I went back and said, what was I excited about when I was a kid? What were the things that lit me up? And I remember back to a time when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I confirmed this with my mom. I told her that I wanted to be Prince and to get me a guitar. And my mom, being the loving mom that she was, she went out and got me a guitar. And and I started taking lessons, but I didn't follow through with it. So the Prince career thing, that didn't happen. But that was just, I kind of had this aha moment, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm an entertainer. Like, that's my nature, right? Like, my DNA is people. My DNA is creating. Then I said, okay, well, that's interesting. Prince, what else was there in my past? Oh, there was that time when I was the grandma in the Beverly Hills Billy play in 4th grade. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, there was the time when I was prom king and I was on stage and I was rapping in high school with my friends. And then before we took the field for the football games, I would do the hype. I would be the hype man, getting everybody up, right? And then there was DJing in college, and then performing in a group called 40 Long, being the DJ when we went on our mini tour. Opening for Mike Posner, which I wasn't at that show. Afro Man, I was. Andre Nasty, Dirk Legacy. Like, when I looked back on my adolescence and my youth, I was always in these roles where I was performing or I was on a stage, right? And not necessarily stages in life, but a stage as in, I guess it would be a, just using that as an analogy, if you will. So why was I sitting here trying to force myself to be like everybody else that was around me, building, scaling, doing, selling hundreds of thousands of dollars in product? Why was I trying to force myself as this dynamic, amazing human being that I've become and evolved to into something that I wasn't? And that was a realization. That was a hard realization. So I ended up taking a step back and realizing that the thing that was going to make me happy, and the thing that I really enjoyed the most and that got me excited, was doing this right here, was creating content, was sharing. And then I said, I need to get back to podcasting, because that's really like the genesis. Looking back, I got into podcasting because I wanted to be a podcaster, not because I wanted to be a fucking guru. And that was liberating. It was very freeing in accepting that and who I was. And I started to have fun again, because for the longest time I was just doing it, right? Like I was just going through the motions. I wasn't in this flow state. Now I'm in this, it's almost like a dance, right? My life is a dance now, because when I move, it's graceful, right? When I get behind the mic and I get on the podcast, it's grateful. And it's graceful, not grateful. I am grateful. And I say all this because it's been a long time since I've been in this space. Even people around me are like, yo, what happened, man? You look like you're Vernon again. You're yourself, right? You have this vibrant energy that we haven't seen in a long time. And I'm grateful to be able to step into this new place, right? I'm embracing all that this is bringing to me. And since I've made that transition, can't talk right now, transition, I've found that joy is my compass, right? Flow is my compass. 173 podcast episodes later, my podcast, Famous Quotes from Famous People, has hit, this past week we hit 26,000 downloads all time. And I think that comes as a result of two things. Well, I'll give you three. So one, accepting who you are. Two, applying that, whatever that is, right? Just focusing on that and not anything else. And number three is being in flow, right? Whatever it is that you're doing, and I call it joy as well, right? So like whatever it is that you're doing, there should be some joy behind it. There should be some flow. If not, then why the fuck are you doing it? Right? Because I don't want to live in a world, I don't want to live a life, because I can't control the world. I can control how I show up. But I don't want to live my life anymore where I'm forcing things, where I'm forcing people to love me, where I'm forcing people to want to do deals with me, where I'm forcing it. I believe it should flow. And you may not agree with that, and that's 100% okay. But I'm glad that I had the opportunity to have this space, to have this camera, to be able to share this with you. And I hope that it serves you in some kind of way along your path. And I'm blessed to, again, be here another year. Make 2019 your year, however you do that. Commit to yourself, commit to serving those who you care about the most, and be awesome. Bye.